Walker-Dack, and you're watching PTV. When my next guest was in his mid-40s or mid-late 40s and found himself single again, he wondered why he was dumped. He thought maybe it could have been his voice, which he'd always hated, maybe put off other men. So he gave up a really good job and started to investigate into what was really going on. So before we talk to him, let's take a look at the film, Do I Sound Gay?
It'll be a beautiful day. This is me, David. In my life, I'm surrounded by gay voices, including my own.
What do you mean I didn't like the sun? I love the sun.
But sometimes I feel really self-conscious about sounding gay.
I'm like, get me to the front of the line, I will kill you.
And there was this like magical tutu that popped out from like nowhere.
Is that what I sound like?
I've been uncomfortable with the way that I've sounded for years, but it's like there's nothing I can do about it.
If I could sound more masculine, I definitely would. It's not a choice to sound gay.
I don't think I sound like a woman. I think I sound like a very small man. You know, like this high.
I'm used to hearing my voice now. When I would first hear it, I, quite frankly, would be appalled.
A lot of gay men are self-conscious about sounding gay because we were persecuted for that when we were young.
Well, when I was in 3rd grade, people started making fun of the way I talked, and that's when the bullying started.
And so I remember changing my voice or trying to sound less gay just to survive high school.
Growing up, I lived in constant fear of sounding gay.
I do have people who come to me to ask to sound less gay. You are a tongue thruster.
Sound so alone, no.
Stop it. You're going, stop it.
Okay.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Right.
Our fathers brought forth on this continent.
You say continent. Perhaps you picked this up when you were young by listening more to women than to men.
For many gay men, that's the last vestige of internalized homophobia, is this hatred of how they sound. What's wrong with sounding like you are who you are? Sounding like a gay man, having a gay voice.
David Thorpe, welcome.
Thank you.
So, was this really about you being single?
Absolutely. Are you single?
No.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Can you remember? Sometimes it's hard to be single, especially after you've been dumped. And, you know, it was the first time I was single and middle-aged. And it opened up a lot of insecurity for me and really made me wonder what was wrong with me and why couldn't I find love after all these years, and set off a whole series of searching questions and anxieties. And one of them was the resurfacing of my anxiety about how I talk.
But you seem to take the quest quite seriously.
I did take it seriously. I felt that this was a really important journey for me to take, regardless of the outcome. Maybe I did need to change my voice, and I would be happier with who I was in the way that we go to the gym and we try to make ourselves, you know, sexier looking. Or maybe I needed to go on this journey to find a way to accept myself that I hadn't. So yeah, I knew that it was not a trivial pursuit.
But your friends referred to it once as the elephant in the room.
Well, I think they were referring to the elephant in the room of, you know, the fear of effeminacy that all gay men are familiar with. Some have transcended, some have not. But I think the elephant in the room is the ways in which we're effeminate, and we tamp it down or let it out at different times where it serves a purpose, or, you know, maybe sometimes we butch it up when we really ought to just be ourselves.
I could really relate to this film. Do you think it's a generational thing? Do you think younger audiences feel the same as we do? Not because I know I'm older than you.
I'm glad you responded to it. I don't think it's a generational thing at all. I think we, still don't live in a society where gender, everything is sort of, rainbows and unicorns in terms of gender and self-expression and sexual orientation. And I have a fair number of young people who contact me online who thank me for making the film and talk about how they struggled with their voices. And, bullying on the schoolyard is still prevalent, if, improving.
I think what we should say though is that it's a very serious subject, but you made a very funny, entertaining film, and you managed to pull in some really big gay guests, or big guests who are gay, whatever, like David Sedaris, who was alarmingly frank in it and really funny too.
Yeah, well, he had written about having a lisp in one of his more popular collections. I think it's called Me Talk Pretty One Day, and so he was a natural, to be in the film. And David has a reputation as being a satirist, but he really, in a lot of his writing, I think he does open up. And I think it was so surprising because we rarely see him on a screen talking about himself. We're so familiar with him writing about himself and his family. But he's a very frank and open guy.
He was very frank. You've been playing at several festivals, including London, where we first met. So how have audiences reacted to this?
They've always reacted very positively. At least that's what they share with me. But I think it is a topic that everybody can relate to, and audiences usually end up sharing some of their own experiences, whether it's about sounding black or sounding Southern, or in the UK sounding like you're from Manchester. Our voices play a really big. Well, there you go. Our voices play a big role in who we are, but it's not something we talk about or think about nearly as frequently as we talk about, say, how we dress or how our bodies are.
I think we know what you wanted from this, but what did you want audiences to take from your movie?
Well, I wanted them to laugh and have a good laugh at all of our tendencies to kind of try to be something we're not. But I also wanted to make people, I wanted to challenge people's assumptions about gender. And I felt like the stereotype of the gay voice was a great example of how we do have assumptions that don't always help us and sometimes harm us.
We see from the film, though, you went to a great deal of effort to check your voice out in the beginning. Were you upset when your friends said at the end they didn't spot any difference?
I wasn't upset at the end. I mean, by the end of the film and of my kind of journey making the film, I really had become so much more confident and comfortable with who I am. But, of course, prior to that, there were plenty of moments where I was like, why can't anyone hear how my voice is different? And, the linguists and the speech therapists that I went to said, probably nobody but you will notice a difference. And that makes sense because nobody but me was sort of noticing my voice in the first place as being gay, or too gay.
You're a filmmaker, so you have the luxury of doing your therapy through us on film. So this was working out your therapy, really.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, some people don't like personal films because they feel that they are therapy, but I mean, that's, explicitly the premise of my film, is that I had a problem that I tried to solve, but hopefully I try to solve it in an interesting way and in a smart way, in a fun way.
And does that have a happy ending? Are you still single?
It has a happy ending, and I'm still single. In the sense
you're in P-Town.
I'm in P-Town. Who knows how long I'll be single.
And tell us now what happens with the film after the festivals.
So it will continue playing festivals, but on July 10th, it'll be available on pay-per-view, on cable on demand, on all of the cable systems. And then July 10th as well, it opens in New York City. And then July 17th, it opens in LA. And then it opens in a bunch more cities over the course of the summer. And the best way to see if it's coming to your town is to go to doisoundgay.com.
What was that again?
www.doisoundgay.com.
And what's next for you?
I am working on a project related to this film, but I'm going to keep it under wraps for now.
Okay. Thank you very much, David Thorpe.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.